Robin Polina is CEO of Palmer Donovan. The company is a wholesale distributor of building materials and residential entry doors, headquartered in Grove City, with locations throughout the Midwest. Robin has been with the company for 26 years. After graduating from Ohio State in 1993, she started a career at Coopers & Lybrand as an auditor. She then served 2 years as Palmer Donovan's controller, then 23 years as chief financial officer, and was appointed chief executive officer last August, a little over a year ago. Robin has 2 children, and she has 5 grandchildren. She loves talking about the grandchildren because people look at her and say, Robin isn't old enough to be a grandmother. Please welcome Robin Polina.
All right, I'm going to stand right here, so hopefully that sound is good. Good. So I love talking about my grandchildren, not because of how I look, but because they are awesome. It's not anything to do with me. I get to spend the weekend with some of them coming up. My youngest one's turning 6, so I just can't believe how fast time goes. And another thing about time going fast is I have been to Rotary before, but I tell you, it sounds a lot more fun right now with tattoos and raising money. I mean, yeah, it was a little more subdued last time I was here, but thanks to Hugo for inviting me in the past. I know it's a great organization. You all do such good work, so thank you for having me here. I'm actually going to start my talk this morning with a video. So Scott, our miraculous person over there, is going to show a video to you from the National Association of Wholesalers. They kind of give you an update as to who we are much better than I could.
In good times and bad, the men and women of America's distributors keep the supply chain moving. Each year, distributors supply nearly $6 trillion worth of materials, products, and services to every sector of the economy. When a global pandemic threatened catastrophe, America's distributors went to work and met unprecedented challenges to protect the nation, keeping America safe by distributing personal protective equipment and supplies, overcoming fear and panic by restocking store shelves, hospitals, and pharmacies, supporting a return to daily life by helping many small businesses and schools safely reopen, and safeguarding jobs and opportunity by moving the goods and services needed to keep the economy running.
There is no problem or threat to the supply chain.
The supply chain is equipped to provide what you want when you need it.
Now, America's distributors are meeting the next challenge, mobilizing to help distribute the vaccines and treatments that will save lives and restore our economy.
The focus really turning to these industrial companies to ensure people at home can get this vaccine in a safe and effective manner.
When America needs them most, wholesaler distributors are ready, because America's distributors deliver.
That just gives me chills. I know, I'm kind of a weird bird. So on your tables, I put a couple of handouts for you all to share. The one that's black on top and red at the bottom gives you a synopsis, and these numbers are actually from 2019, so they are a couple years old, and I know they're higher when you think of 2021. But our industry is a $6 trillion industry. And it's kind of a hidden industry. Nobody really thinks about all the stuff moving around the country every day. We employ a whole bunch of people, we pay a lot of taxes, and we make teeny tiny profit margins. That's kind of who we are. So this form kind of illustrates that for you. And then the one with blue on top is about Ohio. And Ohio is a $350 billion wholesale distribution industry. And again, that's a couple years old too. I'm sure we're higher than that. And then there are a couple of the largest distributors listed for you on the bottom. And obviously Cardinal Health is very familiar to us, and they were absolutely part of all the vaccine and pandemic and a lot of the things that the video talks about. Now, Palmer Donovan didn't directly contribute to moving vaccines or PPE around because that's not our business. But we were deemed essential. Obviously, if you have a hole in your roof, no matter what's going on in the world, you do need to get that fixed. So we did keep operating through the pandemic. We were fortunate enough to do that. But I thought what I'd give you today is a little bit about how the industry has evolved, and it is more of a recent kind of look. I mean, I haven't been CEO for very long. It's a very big job, and I'm still getting used to it and learning a lot as I go, but there have been some pandemic-related impact to how we are trying to do business with our customers. So I'll first give you a little bit about how I see in general that the distribution industry is changing, and then tell you a little more about Palmer Donovan and how we've actually evolved, like how we've done things in the past and now what the future is going to hold. So again, we're kind of known as the invisible, money-wasting middleman. We just add cost to everything, but I think through the pandemic and now what we're dealing with in 2021, all about supply chain issues, all about trying to get the products we all want. This is not just building materials, although we've had lots of challenges in our space, but it's also still groceries. I was in a Target this weekend and the store shelves were bare again. And I think this time it had to do with the fact they didn't have enough employees in Target to stock the shelves. Thankfully, the most important aisle where the beer and wine was sold, there was a guy unloading right there and saying, hey, if you don't see something you need on this, we probably have it. I was off sick for a couple days and nobody did my job for me. So, you know, we're all dealing with that. So we are the B2B people. We are a business that sells to other business, and we're challenged with a lot of the ways that B2C now happens, and that's business directly to consumer. That experience about, you know, buying stuff on Amazon with one click and it having it delivered the next day, I mean, that starts to permeate how our buyers want to experience Palmer Donovan. But I will tell you that a B2B transaction is way more complex than a B2C one. And, you know, the next generation of buyers wants to interact with us digitally. They don't want to call us on their cell phone, they want an app. And they want to touch buttons and be able to buy stuff. They want to have an e-meeting instead of an in-person meeting. So that's all the things our industry is facing, especially in the construction environment that we operate in. So the reason the transaction is a lot more complicated is because there needs to be a lot more support, technical support, training, and even pricing is more complex in our environment. We have a strategic pricing model that we use to make sure that we are selling our goods and protecting our margins, which are very thin, to give us any hope of being profitable and allowing our customers to be profitable at the same time. So it isn't like a quick click on a button to buy something. And then, you know, we still want to grow. We want to get, you know, more customers and be more of an impact out there. And we need a web presence to do that. It's not the traditional way now all the time with an outside salesperson just knocking on doors. We need a web presence. And many distributors do still sell stuff on Amazon. I heard one guy explain it felt like crack cocaine to him. He couldn't stop it even though every transaction he was losing money. So that's not really attractive to me and our company, but we do sell on Amazon as well. And then there are also other marketplaces and other opportunities to try to do digital things and grow that way. But it's interesting, our manufacturing partners can also do that. and completely sidestep us. So it's a very tricky navigation kind of thing where we're trying to figure out the way we can go to market in these new ways. So that's sort of some of the stuff that we're dealing with as an industry. Now, Palmer Donovan, been around since 1907. When we first started, we manufactured macaroni noodles. So you don't be in business for, 117 years without evolving. And now we have done that many times, and we're a regional distributor of building materials, as Ken described. In 2007, on our 100th anniversary, we became 100% employee-owned, all in one shot. That was the highlight of my career as CFO. I will never forget that day and how proud I was of our owners selling the company to the employees. That's a very, very special day in my heart. In 2020, our revenue was about $280 million, and this year we will clear $300 million, and that is a big milestone for us. We're very excited about that. We currently employ 560 people, and 250 of them are here in Central Ohio. So we support both residential and light commercial building. We do new and remodeling markets, and we are currently experiencing rapid inflation, product shortages, allocations, freight surcharges like we have never seen before. Nothing like I've ever seen in my 26 years. And ironically, the demand continues to be there. People are stuck at home. They keep looking around and wanting to change things or wanting a new house. I feel someday that's going to change. We had a little bit of a slowdown in July. It's kind of ramped back up in August again, but the laws of economics are not quite playing out like we normally see. When prices go up, demand goes down. That has not happened yet. So a little bit about our evolution. How we've always looked at our business is we are all about relationships. And it's all about those field salespeople. We've just coded our geographic markets with them. And they're knocking on doors every day, visiting customers. There's a lot of in-person touches. Those field salespeople are counting inventory in our lumber yards and reordering product, placing displays, pricing orders, and buying donuts. Number one important thing they do. So, we've always had this philosophy that bigger is better. The more products we have, the more customers we have, the more branches we have, the better we'll be. And that salesman that's out there in that territory every day was like the CEO of his territory. He did everything. And we had very slim profit margins. We always used to say we'd make it up on volume. And as a CFO, I cringe. That is not how that economics works. That's not how the math works, but that has been the way we've thought about our business for a long, long time. We would really sell just about anything to anyone. So the vendor relationships we have, which are very important, they could really make or break us. So some of our large vendors are companies like Owens Corning and Therma-Tru and AZEK, which used to be TimberTech Decking. Some of those names may be familiar to you. In order to protect ourselves, though, we would have multiple lines of one product. So if one of those relationships turned south, we had some other things to fall back on. So we had a ton of inventory in roofing, siding, kitchen cabinets, for example, multiple vendors where we could, although some vendors do restrict us from doing that. So it just kind of depends. We'd kind of draw the fine line there and move through that as best we could. But things are changing. As a new CEO, I'm looking at this business and thinking, this is not really sustainable. We want to have business partners, and that's looking at the whole supply chain, our supplying manufacturers, our customers, and even their customers, all the way down to the homeowner sometimes. Our tagline, which kind of fits in with that video you just saw, is "We deliver more." But it's not just products. It's also expertise. It's also solutions. It's information, because we want our customers to succeed. And in order to do that, we have to service and provide more than just the product. Our information is needed throughout the supply chain. Our vendors need it. Our customers' customers need it, like the installer. And even the homeowner may need some information that we would have, like maybe the latest styles, trends, colors, and things. Our vertical, the building materials market, is in real need of some innovation. And that is like really bubbling up now because of the lack of labor that we have. Back in the 08 and 09 housing crisis, we lost a lot of labor and tradesmen, that exited and did not come back. And we've got an affordable housing problem. Everybody knows what's happening even in central Ohio. And when you build a home now, all of the components to that home cost a lot more. So there's really a screaming need to do things differently. So we want to be part of that solution. We want to partner with the manufacturers and customers and try to figure out some new and better ways to do that. The other thing we're doing is we're on a journey with our sales force. We call it Salesforce transformation, because we want our field salespeople to be more efficient. And they have a high cost to us, and they need to provide a return. So they should not be doing everything in their market. We have a very talented inside sales team that is now transitioning to customer service to really support that guy or gal in the field and that customer directly for things, more administrative type things, maybe returns or questions that the field sales guy doesn't have to answer all the time. We want those field salespeople to be out there. Consultative selling is a word that is a buzzword, but really what that means to me is figuring out how to get our customer more profitable and really working with them, not maybe just on the products they get from us, but also trying to help them solve their business issues and problems, because we have them too. We have trouble finding people. We have very slim profit margins. We've got all the same problems, so we want to be there for them and see if we can solve these together. And we also have used a strategic pricing model. I mentioned that we don't want our people out in the field pricing all the time. That takes a lot of time. So now we have an analyst at our company who runs models to make sure that we're pricing everything fairly and at the right level to make profit for all of us involved. We're also looking at our profit a whole new way. It's not just gross profit, which is the product sale price minus the cost of goods. We're segmenting our customers and looking at the net profitability they deliver to our business. So using software, figuring out the bottom line profit on every line item on an order. And that's a huge, allocation and math problem. But what that does is it gives you some visibility on the customers that you need to protect and do everything you can to grow. It also shows you where you can make some pretty simple changes and work with your customer to bring both of your profitability up. One example of that is just the order size. If we do fewer larger orders and make fewer larger deliveries, that could save us all time and labor. So those are the kinds of analysis that we're doing right now. And then if we've got a customer that is unprofitable and unwilling to change, they can order through our online website or for calling in to our customer service rep. Not so much getting an outside sales visit anymore. That just doesn't make sense. So, we look at this as a consultative kind of approach. We are not about firing customers. We are about elevating the whole ship, trying to rise both together to make everyone more profitable. Then we also have our vendor relationships. Sometimes those can be pretty adversarial. We sometimes compete with our vendors. They go to market different ways, but we want to find the right ones to grow with us. And that has a lot to do with product development and getting the information that we have, because we're out there touching customers every day. We want to better integrate our marketing efforts and, you know, make sure when they're dreaming up this new way to paint a door, they don't realize that, hey, in our facility, that's going to take us 5 times as long to paint that door. So we want to have more or earlier kinds of conversations around products and marketing. So just as an example, but those relationships are just as key as our customer relationships. So that's kind of where we see the evolution of us going. You know, I thought I would kind of close my comments before I asked for questions, but just kind of what I see as a new CEO coming in, and I know I've been at this a year, it doesn't feel like it. First of all, it took me a long time to find my replacement. So I was actually doing both jobs very poorly for a while, but now that I have a wonderful new CFO, I am starting to be more of a CEO. So, you know, I've hinted on a couple of things that really keep me up at night. It's labor shortages. And even in a warehouse, we have to start to embrace automation. That's sort of been more at the manufacturer before with robots and, you know, special radio frequency type things, but we need to do more of that even in distribution and find ways to do things with fewer people. We have new competitors all the time, like Amazon and other digital marketplaces. Large public companies are also our competitors, and they have huge buying power. We're a regional distributor and aren't as big as important to some of our manufacturers, so that's always a threat to us. There's also a ton of merger and acquisition activity buzzing around us all the time. In the recent past, it's been more at the manufacturer level and then also at our customer level. There are a lot of these roll-up kind of companies buying lumber yards out of these family-owned kind of businesses, which was always our sweet spot. But I will tell you that even private equity money, because there is so much of it right now, is looking at a business like ours, which hardly makes any profit. So I guess that doesn't matter anymore. They just need to get their capital deployed. So that's also a threat. We want to stay a privately held ESOP, and that's going to be harder and harder to do. And then there's finally this whole idea of our culture. You know, we opened our offices back up June 1st, but lo and behold, not all of our people wanted to come back. You know, and in the corporate office, there aren't very many people, and in that customer service role that's on the phone all day or answering emails or chats and all that, they want to stay home. We remodeled our Grove City office down there where they sit on the first floor, and it's empty pretty much. You know, and I worry about that. As an ESOP, you need folks around you, at least sometimes. You know, and when you're training new employees and when you're trying to embrace them into your culture, it's really hard. So, you know, we're in no position to say, no, you have to come back and you have to get vaccinated and all these things that many business leaders are struggling with, because then we'd lose everybody. But I do worry. It's not, I don't like walking into that empty, you know, space every day. So I think a few more of them will be here this week because we hired 2 new customer service people. So yay, I can't wait to see them. But it's tough, and we're kind of letting each manager figure it out, but I'm worried. I'm worried about that. So, and then finally, you know, everybody talks about growing. I talked about that at the beginning, the kind of evolution we've been on, how we think about growth. But I'm not interested in just growing bigger. I want to grow more profitably, and that's a very different model. Of course, I don't really know how yet. We're trying to figure that out. So that's part of my journey. but it's not just more and more and more. I think it has to be targeted and specific and, you know, good for all our partners that we do business with. So those are my comments, and I'm happy to take questions about this very exciting industry. Thank you.
Question is on the labor shortage. Do you have any kind of apprenticeship programs or anything to help mediate through?
Yes. We do. Do we have any apprenticeship programs in light of all the labor shortages that we're going through? And we do. I think we've got probably one of the most talented recruiting teams. We always make fun of our HR department because they just keep adding people and cost, and you know, it's kind of a joke around the executive team. However, they do a really good job, and we've actually experienced lower turnover in 2021 than we did in 2020, which is, you know, pretty remarkable. I mean, 2020 was a hard year, but this year has been a challenge, you know, like for different reasons. But so we do have apprenticeship programs. Several years ago, we started a sales apprentice program, and these were college graduates, usually right out of college, that would come and work for us and really take the role of our inside sales team. But they were expected, when territories opened up or outside sales jobs opened up, that they would, you know, apply and interview for those as they became available. And they were expected to land one of those jobs in the first couple of years that they worked for us. And then this year, we decided that we had a real void in our operations talent. So, you know, operations leaders, whether they're team leads, supervisors, and we run 2 shifts. So we've got a night shift and a day shift, and then just our branch manager evolution. We did not have enough bench strength. And, you know, that is critical to our success. And I know some of it I speak from a CFO's perspective. I always aligned with the ops people more than I did the sales people. But we have now, we hired 3 operations apprentices this summer. Again, same kind of thing, right out of college, interested in our industry, kind of like the ESOP model. That was attractive to these young people. And also 3 sales apprentices. So we do that. We go visit colleges. We do all that kind of mingling. We also have interns. We hire summer interns that get to do lots of different jobs at our company before they decide if they'd like to come with us permanently. Yes?
How has the pandemic impacted your accounts receivable challenges?
You know, we have been so fortunate. So how has the pandemic impacted our accounts receivable? We were so nervous last March of 2020 because we distribute into Michigan and Pennsylvania, and both of those had a little bit different rules and laws than in Ohio and Kentucky and Indiana and other states. So we thought we were going to have a really hard time. But it actually turned out to be phenomenal. The high demand and the higher prices and just the inflation that we've experienced has allowed our customers to have decent cash flow too. So fortunately, we did not skip a beat with that. We were very fortunate, and we actually, you know, can't buy the inventory as fast as we can collect it. So it's a good problem to have, but it's still a problem. So. All right, Amanda, I'm going to turn it back to you. And if you have any questions for me after, I'll hang out. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. That was great. So have a great week, and I'll see you guys on September